prove that what we don't know can hurt us. Hey, hold on now. You're probably saying, you mean a guy has to know everything or he'll get hurt on the job? No, sirree. You on your job, I on mine, can prevent accidents in a pretty simple way. Here's how. Just know a couple of important things. 2 things, that's all. Know your job. That's the first thing. And then know yourself. Those are the 2 important steps to safety. Whoop, hold on now. What do you mean, I can hear you saying? Know those things. Of course I know them. Me, ain't I? And I've been on the job for years. All right. Look at these points again. Take that first one. Knowing your job means more than just knowing how to do it. Knowing a job, no matter where you work, also means knowing what the dangers are, what's liable to happen, and what to do about it. It means knowing how to do your job without getting hurt. But now take this fellow here. He's a new man and awfully shaky, not sure of himself. He's got a lot to learn. Oh, but maybe the old-timer has something to learn, too, because he can be so sure of himself that he takes chances. And he goes off the beam, too. New man on the job or old-timer, either one is liable to have an accident if he doesn't watch out. Sure, some jobs like this one are more risky than others. Here's what you might even call a safe job. But uh-oh, is it? When you least expect it, wham, an accident catches up with you. No, there's no such thing as a no-accident job. But that doesn't mean you have to let accidents happen. You can know your job through these 3 simple steps. Learn by listening, learn by asking, and be sure you can do it. Learn by listening. That's the first point. All right, suppose the boss comes up with some special idea about a job, maybe a new safety angle. We won't get much out of it if we're thinking about our next hunting expedition or about last night's party. So let's give him a break, huh? Let's listen. Same way with the fellows we work with. If some guy seems to be sticking his nose in our business, giving advice, why get sore? It doesn't cost anything to listen. Besides, he and every other guy in the place has had a lot of valuable job experience. It adds up to a whale of a lot of know-how that we can have for free. Some of the other guys in the plant have worked 6, 7, 12, and more years without an accident. So why turn down any tips they may have? Learning by listening is an easy way to learn, and it's the first way to get a head start on safety on your own job. Learn by asking. That's the next thing. We can all expect to run into situations where we don't know, like this poor guy who doesn't know which sling to use to hook up a crane load. Now, the easiest and simplest way to find out is to ask somebody. The foreman, for example. He probably knows from experience which sling will be strong enough. Sometimes we can find the answers to our questions on a safety instruction card, or on the bulletin board, or the charts that we get. But even when we bone up as much as we can ahead of time, there still will be lots of jobs that are really tough. What the heck do I do with this, we ask ourselves. Or where the blazes does it go? We don't know the answers. So what do? We ask somebody, like we said before. Get hold of some guy who really can tell us how. But suppose when he explains it, we still don't get it. There's still a lot of buts in our mind. All right, there's only one thing to do. Ask again. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Besides, it's either a matter of asking again or running the risk of doing the job wrong, maybe having an accident. So ask and keep on asking until we get the idea, until we're really sure we can do it ourselves. Okay, we learn by listening and we learn by asking. But now that 3rd step. Be sure you can do it. Do it yourself. No matter what it is you're learning, there's no substitute for doing. Remember that bike you got as a kid and learning to ride it? You got all kinds of advice. Every kid on the street was out there telling you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. But you had to wobble down the street alone. You had to do it yourself to find out that you didn't fall off. Doing it yourself gave you confidence that swell feeling that you can depend on yourself. You really learn to ride a bike by doing it, right? The same way on your job. Watching someone else do it is one thing, but you don't really feel sure of yourself. You don't feel safe about it until you get behind the wheel yourself, until you try it, until you're sure you can do it yourself. When you really know your job, you've taken the first step to safety. But now, let's say you know all the safe practices on your job. There's still something else. Know yourself. That's the next thing. The second important know in preventing accidents. Hey, fellas, look at those two guys over there. A couple of hotheads, that's what they are. That's the trouble with them. Yeah, sure, you've got the other guys all figured out. You know all about them. But what about yourself? Do you really know yourself? Well, we don't mean your looks, naturally. Anyone can see you're the best-looking guy around. But are you as safe as you should be? That's what we mean. You are only if you know these three important things. If you know your limitations, know your peculiarities, know what you don't know. All right, take that first point. Know your limitations. Here's a guy who can eat pickles and ice cream. So you say, well, if he can do it, I can too. Oh, no, you can't. But so what? What if you can't? That doesn't mean he's brainier or stronger than you are. It just means that we're all different in a lot of ways, and we'd all be smart to realize it. Sam here is a big guy. He can reach what he's after without any trouble. The little guy can't, and he knows it. But he doesn't miss out on account of it. He's smart enough to realize that a little help is all he needs. Same way at work. We can't all lift the same amount either. So we ought to learn early just what and how much we can handle. It's a lot easier on everybody if we know our limitations and make allowances for them. That's how you start to know yourself. Trying to do what we can't do isn't going to get us anywhere, except maybe to first aid or the hospital. Now, know your peculiarities. Yeah, that's what we said, peculiarities. Being absent-minded, for example, like Pete here. Lots of us are absent-minded. Nothing especially wrong with it, except when we walk in front of a truck or when we're absent-minded on the job. Then we're leaving ourselves wide open for an accident. Same thing with being impatient. Joe here isn't one for fussing around. When there's a job to be done, he likes to get it out in a hurry. What's the matter, Joe? Need a sledgehammer? None around? Go get one. Oh, no, not Joe. He sees an axe. So what's the big lunkhead using instead of a hammer? An axe. Natch. Oh! Oh, well, Joe, that finger will heal up in a couple of weeks. Now, look, if you're impatient like Joe or absent-minded like Pete, you can do something about it. When that finger heals up, tie a string around it. Keep reminding yourself that you are absent-minded or impatient or something else, that you've got to be extra careful. Keep reminding yourself. That's the way to handle your peculiarities. Now, know what you don't know. If you ever tried to take over your son's chemistry set without knowing what you were doing, well... See what I mean? The important thing on any job is if you don't understand it fully, don't monkey with it. Call the person who knows something about it. It just isn't smart to take chances when we don't know. Another thing, when we're sent to do a job, it isn't healthy to depend too much on the other guy. Like when you open a car door. How do you know that the guy who loaded it did it right? If he didn't, who do you think gets hurt? You do, of course. What I mean is, don't stick your neck out. Find out ahead of time. Don't jump to conclusions if you want to keep from getting hurt. So, know your job, the dangers in it and how to avoid them. And know yourself, just what you can do and what you can't do without getting hurt. Those are the 2 points we talked about. Oh, yes, just one thing more. Know your past mistakes. Learn something from every mistake Yours and the other